Once Upon a Time Stories from Leicester Library's Neighbourhood Services. I'm Sandy, and the story that I want to share with you today, well, it's one that was told to me. I didn't read it. It was told to me by a librarian and storyteller called Jill Jobson. And she had one way of telling it, but when you tell a story, it comes out different each time. So this is my way of telling it, and it's called Rat's Castle. Now, way back, a long time ago, in the time of the Romans, Leicester was called Rati. So maybe that's why this story is called Rat's Castle. But it's got another name as well, and its other name is Tom Tinker and the King of the Rats. Now, Tom was a tinker, and that means he knocked on people's doors and he fixed any broken metal pots and pans they had, and he'd glue the handles back on or patch a hole so that people could use them again. And he had a pack on his back with a soldering iron for melting hot metal and gluing it to other hot metal. And he had a little hammer for bashing metal back into shape. And he had some pincers for picking up the metal when it was hot. And he also had a little black dog called Jet, and Jet would travel around in Tom's pocket with him wherever he went. Now, this night, Tom was on his way home, coming down Rawdykes Road in Leicester, and it was a wild and stormy night, and the rain chopped it down like buckets full, and the wind was howling and screeching in Tom's ears, both his ears. And then there was a flash of lightning, and Tom said to Jet, "I think we'd better find somewhere to shelter, Jet." And he looked around, but there weren't any houses on that part of the road. But just across by the trees, there was an old, maybe a tumble-down factory, or Tom couldn't see. There was something there in the dark, and it had a tall tower, a chimney stack. And Tom said to Jet, "Let's go in there." And he crawled in, and there were some bits of wood, and he got the bits of wood and struck a light, and he made a little fire. And he thought, "I'll have a mug of tea till this storm's out, then I'll get home." So he got one of the pots, the metal pots, and he just boiled up a nice brew and was reaching for it with the pincers because the pot was hot, when out of the darkness a voice, a scratchy, gravelly voice, said, "Give me that." And Tom looked across the little fire, and there, looking right at him, were two glowing red eyes. It was a rat as long as your arm. It had long, sharp yellow teeth. And Tom, he'd never seen a rat that big before. And he didn't argue. He got the pincers and he passed the hot pot across the fire to the rat, and he grabbed it with both claws, chucked the boiling tea down its mouth, and then that hot metal pot, it crunched it with its long, sharp teeth and threw it back at Tom, quick as a flash. Tom, with his pincers, whacked the pot back at the rat. Ooh, it hit him in the mouth and broke off a tooth, and the rat ran off into the darkness. "Oh, I don't know what that was about, Jet," said Tom, "but I think I need another cup of tea." And he got a second pot out of his pack and put some tea on to boil, and the tea had just boiled when, out of the darkness, another voice spoke. "Give me that." It was a deeper, scratchy voice, and Tom looked across the fire, and there were two red glowing eyes, and it was another rat, and this rat was as long as two arms put together. Tom had never seen a rat that big before, but he passed the pot over the rat, grabbed it with both claws, threw the boiling tea down his throat, and then, just like his brother, crunched up the metal pot and chucked it at Tom. Tom grabbed his little hammer, you remember that, and whack, hit that pot back at in the mouth, and this time 2 sharp rat teeth fell out of the creature's mouth. Ow! It ran off into the stormy night. "Oh, I don't like this, Jet," said Tom. I think we'd better just go, rain and storm or not. Come on." And he started to put his things in his pack, and Jet was still in his pocket and, fast asleep. And Tom was just about to go when he heard a noise behind him, and it was a scratchy, slithery, scrambly kind of a noise. And Tom turned round to look at the chimney stack, and out of the chimney came 2 long, sharp claws and 2 huge, glowing red eyes, and then an enormous body and a long, long, scaly tail came rattling around, and it curved itself around Tom before he could run and pulled him right close. This rat filled the whole chimney space, and Tom, he was scared, and he was scared so much that his teeth were chattering in his own mouth, but Jet was still asleep in his pocket. And the rat said, "I'm the king of the rats, and this is my castle. Give me some supper, boy." And Tom, he was willing to do anything, and he looked in his pack, and he pulled out his soldering iron, and I don't know what he thought he was going to do, but he put that iron in the fire. Maybe he thought he could heat it and use it to defend himself from this monster rat. But the rat, whether a king is a rat or a man, it's not going to wait for anyone. And that rat, it picked up Tom in its claws, and it opened those huge, sharp jaws, and it was just about to drop Tom in when, little Jet, she woke up in Tom's pocket, and she started to bark, and Tommy was shaking so much that Jet fell out, and she landed on the rat's scaly tail, and she bit it with her sharp little terrier teeth, and she shook that tail as hard as she could, and the king of rats, he yelled, and Tom fell down, and he grabbed his pack, and he ran off down the road with little dog Jet running close beside him. So, the next morning, Tom came back down Raw Dykes Road, looking for the place where he'd been and where those rats had been last night, but there was nothing there. No fire, no chimney, and definitely no rats. All he found on the ground was 2 lumps of metal and his soldering iron and rat. Tom took them back with him, and he told his story to the man next door, and the man next door told that story to the woman on the corner. And so it went on, and person told person, and then I was told the story, and now I'm telling it to you. So if you liked that story, then go and tell it to someone else.